Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secure Section Group Conversation. I'm David DeSanto. I'm the Director of Product for Secure and Defend. I see that people have begun asking questions, which is awesome. So we'll hand it over to you, Christopher, for your first question.
Yeah, thanks, David. It really is just around the fact that I was looking at our product maturity page and those 4 categories all going to complete at the same time. And we are always ambitious. So I just was curious about, if we had any prioritization about which categories we want to focus on sooner, because it just feels like that's like we don't have flag days, right? We want to see this over time. So I would hope some of those would come in maybe a little bit sooner during the quarter, and maybe a few of them towards the end of the quarter as an example. But
sure.
Curious on your thoughts.
You're referring to the Q2 milestone for July?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were testing my ability to be awake this morning by saying Q4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Q4? I meant Q2.
Yeah,
I meant, sorry.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So, the things that are going to complete in that time frame, they've been the focus. They're part of our goal to be application security testing leader by the end of the year. I will share that, and as you're aware, and maybe not everybody's aware, we are also looking at potential companies to acquire to kind of help with that too, and that's also aligning with what we think would be the integration goals. But yeah, as we get closer, probably near the mid to end of Q1, we'd have to reevaluate and see where we are on that path. But I definitely think we're being aggressive on the things like SAST, DAST, fuzzing, dependency scanning, because those are 4 of the 5 key components of that application security testing Magic Quadrant. And then Todd, since you're on the other side of the fence for security, do you have anything additional you want to add about those maturity goals?
No, I don't. I think you covered it pretty well. Thank you.
Okay. Sid is the next question.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for the super fun presentation. Slide 7 has 2 graphs of merge requests per engineer. Is one with automation included, or where is this coming from?
Right. So I tried to capture basically total MRs for the month for the team, and then also capture the target, since we switched to using Periscope or Sisense for our new graphs. I don't know. I guess I was trying to articulate the same information that we used from the old graphs with these 2 graphs. So show, where the 10 MRs per engineer line was with the upper graph, and then show total MRs. So I'm happy to change it. I was just trying to show that same sort of data.
So you say total MRs for the second graph. The title of that graph is Secure Section MRs per engineer. Is that correct?
The title might be unfortunate. So because it is total MRs for all engineers on the secure stage.
Cool. Thanks. I would consider changing that title. Also consider just not showing that graph at all. I think we got to be very focused at GitLab that we're all about like efficiency. Efficiency is one of our values. So always show a graph relative to kind of if you show output, also make it relate to the input.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think you have the next one as well.
Yeah, I heard a large deal is at risk because we can't run in an air-gapped environment. Is that on the radar of the team? And if so, what's our plan?
Sure. So yes, it is on the team radar. We began working on it end of last calendar year, and we've hit our first milestone goal and have provided that over to the sales team. Sam has a little bit more there, so I'll let him answer in a minute. But then our goal is to, and I should say we're still on track for our goal that we committed to, which is April, May timeframe, to have everything needed for those evaluations ready to go. And then Sam, do you want to elaborate at all?
Yeah, I'll add on to that and vocalize what I wrote in the document there. In the issue I've linked in the document, we're going to be adding additional documentation for how users can enable offline SAST in those air gap modes today. So this won't actually be product changes. This will just be describing how to do this successfully with this use case. So that should help these users and prospects and customers that do apply in this situation to be able to do that successfully.
Great. But where did the timing for this come from? Because this looks like a couple of weeks of work, and I understood the deal to be multi-million dollars, and us like greatly reducing the chance that it happens this year because we didn't deliver on this on time.
So I don't remember the exact date of the sales team's urgency or escalation, depending how you look at it. I know it was sometime in Q4, and we began redoing our plans to make sure we can deliver. We asked for about when they thought evaluations needed to kick off, and that was targeted around that April-May timeframe. What we did is we started breaking it down by category and secure, so we could begin to deliver it piecemeal. And we asked the sales team to help prioritize what languages for SaaS were needed, what was next after SaaS, and so forth. And I can find the issue and link it here if you like, but we have been having an active conversation with the federal team, customer success, and product on making sure we hit the milestones needed to make successful evaluations in an air-gapped environment.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Please do link to the issue. I'm misinformed, or there's some communication problem here, so I'll have a look at that. What's the case? But
yeah. Once I provided, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Seems that you're doing all the right things from the information you have.
Yeah, if you review it and you see what that gap is, just let me know, and we'll make sure we get it addressed accordingly.
Cool. Thanks.
And then John, you have the next one.
Yep. Thanks for all that you guys do. Everyone does, not guys, everyone. But wanted to ask a little bit about .NET. We were Philippe and I were just at a customer not too long ago, a full 100% GitLab customer. They love us. They'd love to use us, but they mentioned that we're not quite there on .NET. So I'd like to get your perspective on when we'll be able to do that. And if you want more detail, I saw your note there that Philippe can probably give you more context than I.
Yeah, I'll let Sam vocalize what he has, and then we can see if Philippe is on and wants to elaborate at all.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the question, John. And I'm going to answer you with an assumption. So if my assumption is incorrect, let me know. I've added an issue that we're going to be focusing on in 12.9 to add SaaS for .NET framework support. And I hope that answers your question, but I know that .NET as a term also means many different things. If it's .NET Core, it could be talking about Linux versus Windows. So I don't know if that issue I've linked answers your question, or if you were asking something different.
It's actually not, because this specific customer will focus on dependency scanning first. It's not on SaaS, sorry. We have other customers asking for .NET, so it's going to be definitely helpful, but that specific customer is going to focus on dependency scanning again, and they ask for .NET support, also Swift, because they have a lot of mobile projects. Everything that is Android based is going to be covered already, but what we have in Java, Maven, and Gradle. And they want to focus as well in this POC on auto remediation, which is something that we have trouble moving forward. I know that it's currently a big focus in Secure, but the first MVC was like a year ago, and we need to show some progress to the users because we keep saying the same story again and again. But when it comes to the reality, we only support JavaScript and Yarn projects, and you have to have a requirement that would be compatible with the new version that we're suggesting. So that's a lot of conditions, and in the end, pretty much no one is able to use that feature. So we need to get better on this.
Yeah, and to that effect, got another very large customer we just signed to a new 2-year extension at multi-thousands of users, and they're a very big .NET shop as well, and they do want to help build a business case to move to Ultimate, but that's going to be a prerequisite for them as well. So thank you. I appreciate your attention on that as well. My next question is, I see GitHub making some acquisitions and things around SEML and stuff like that, they seem to be jumping in our space, wanting to get deeper and deeper on what we're doing. And concern I have and what I've been hearing and seeing from the way GitHub's been pricing things is that they're willing to give away a lot at a very low price. And so are we concerned that basically their end game for us is to provide all the same features that we do in Ultimate and do it at a premium price?
Yeah, so first, I just want to finish answering the one before it, John. So what we can do is take that .NET and dependency scanning offline and get back to you. I quickly skimmed. I didn't see Nicole on the call, but either myself or Sam will ask her to follow up with you and Philippe to get the details, as well as if there is a gap, what's the time frame to close it?
So the first one that's a smaller deal, 300 to 400K, they're actively in a POC. They want to make a decision next month or two. And the other one's probably a longer range play of 6 to 9 months, and working with them to build a business case.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll follow up offline on that one. I just want to make sure that that loop is closed for you.
That'd be great. I appreciate all the support.
Yeah.
And just to wrap up on this, sorry, because there's something that is going a bit beyond these issues. I think that we still have that problem of gathering all the requirements that we have from customers. I think that was mentioned like a year ago, but I still have the feeling that we're at the same point today. Like we have a lot of customers asking for features of our support of more languages or different things, but we don't have a clear process to gather this feedback and create metrics or data from this feedback. I still have the feeling that we're putting a finger in the air, waiting for more information, but we don't have a clear path to make that from the requirement to something that we will deliver. Am I wrong in this? And I'm not pointing any finger here. I just want to make sure that I understand the process that is behind this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're pointing fingers at anybody. What I would say is, I think that as a whole, I think we could be doing a little bit better, making sure we're matching requirements that are coming in from sales to directly related work. I think that's kind of an item that, as a team, as a global team of GitLab, we sometimes need to work on, because the items you and I talked about in the past will be an issue created for something a customer is requesting, but it's missing some component of that. And then we do have a back and forth trying to get that solidified. And I think we could be doing a better job making sure those gaps get closed. So I guess my point with all that, Philippe, is I think what we could do is look at this one for dependency scanning and make sure everything that's needed for Nicole and for Olivier are in there. And if there's things that they're still missing, how do we make sure we're communicating clearly back so we can get the details needed, so we don't run in a situation where you're right, where we think we understand what's going to be delivered, we deliver something and it might not be right.
Thanks.
Okay, so on John's second one, are we concerned about GitHub offering security at our premium price level? I think as a company, John, I think we're actively watching to see what will happen. I think you hit on a very good example where companies are being acquired at a very high price, and then they're being included to try to compete with us at a lower tier level. I think what we're going to need to do over the next 6 to 12 months is continue to monitor that and decide whether or not we have to bring additional security focus out of Ultimate and into Premium, or if there's some other path we have to differentiate on that. I know that as we're looking at bringing the scanners down to core, that's going to help. But I think it's just something we need to actively watch to make sure we don't get ourselves in a bad position. I don't know if anybody on the product team has anything else to elaborate on that. Okay, I'm gonna go with no because I see their head shaking. But yeah, so as we continue forward, John, we'll just be actively watching that. We can talk about it more next week at the sales kickoff if you like. Okay, then Lucas, you have the next one.
So we have a one-liner in our product vision currently around bringing more security scanning into cloud native infrastructure. And I'm just curious where we're thinking about expanding on that, where we're going with that in the vision.
So you're referring to the shift left theme, because that's what you're linked to?
Yes, I guess that's really one of the only mentions in there of cloud native. So I guess I'm curious where that approaches in terms of a long-term vision.
Sure. So as a whole, GitLab is a cloud native first structured company. I'd have to go back through and skim the entire thing to make sure I'm getting directly to your question, but oh, okay, I see it in the second bullet. So really what we're looking at with that, no more left than that, it's not just a cloud native reference. It's a reference to trying to heavier weight our security focus on the developer side. And so in that, it refers to things like stack analysis type testing. So we're talking about white box fuzzing with that one. Looking at ways to identify secret detection better and other things that would be leveraged out into cloud native. An example of that would be last year and probably the year before that, there was a lot of issues with companies having their S3 buckets not be authenticated. But ultimately, the goal with that theme is to state we're developer first. We're going to begin doing things outside the developer's world, but first we're focused on what they need to write better and more secure code. It's kind of a roundabout way of answering your question. Is there a part of that you'd like clarified?
Yeah, I think you touched on it, and I'm realizing I linked to probably the wrong thing here. So less emphasis on shifting left, but actually we discussed this in the section overview as well. So really just where cloud native infrastructure fits into the secure strategy specifically. And you did touch on that on secret detection, fuzzing, things like that. And maybe that's the answer that I was looking for.
Yeah, the main reason for stretching it or stressing it where it's being stressed is that we want to be able to test everything that needs to be tested, but there are going to be decisions a user or developer is making that will have ramifications on that cloud native environment. And so other than the focus of shifting harder left and applying some things like machine learning over the next 12 months to things like SAST and DAST, I think it's just a general statement to say we focus on cloud native, and that's why I put that in there.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so we'll give it another minute here to see if anybody else has any questions. While I'm waiting for that, I did want to take a moment to say, if you've not looked at the slides, please take a look. We've had a lot of new people start in the secure section since the last call that we had here. That includes, we have Taylor, who joined in the product team, focused on stack analysis testing. We also had somebody join in technical writing, Nick. And then finally, we have some people within the engineering orgs and the vulnerability research team. So that includes people within stack analysis like Zach, Craig in dynamic analysis, and then Julian and Isaac within the vulnerability research team.
Yeah, James and Isaac.
James and Isaac? Oh,
yeah.
What did I say?
You said Julian.
I meant James. This is why you're on here, Todd, so you can make sure I'm saying the right thing. Okay. Looks like nobody else had any questions. If nobody has anything to vocalize, I'll thank you all for taking time to join the live stream today, and have a good rest of your day, and talk to you all soon.